Hear the stories of men and women switching hustles and escaping the odds through entrepreneurship after prison. Not only will these stories inspire you, but also unlock business tips for financial freedom. Thank y'all for tuning in to another dope episode of Escaping the Odds podcast, where we interview the formerly incarcerated who are now successful entrepreneurs. I got my main man here with me, Charles D. Clark. You've seen him on the Empire for 2 seasons. He's in an upcoming film, Charm City Kings, produced by Will and Jada Smith, also starring Meek Mill. Definitely, man, it's going to be a dope story, man. His brother been through a lot. About 8 years in federal prison, man. Came home, switched hustle. So definitely looking forward to this story, man. Definitely aspiring. So I want to welcome Mr. Charles D. Clark. What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
What's up, my brother?
How you
Glad
feeling?
to be here.
Oh,
Good,
absolutely.
man. Yes, sir.
Absolutely, man. As I was saying, man, you got a hell of a story, man. Inspiring story, man. I can't wait till we get into it, man. And let the audience know, man, a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and a lot of things you're doing. Professional actor, on the come up, man, doing your thing, man. And so, little backstory, man. Where are you from?
Originally from Virginia, but I moved to Carolina most of my going into my early teens, onto my adulthood. But yeah. So I guess I'm Virginian and Carolina, and
Okay,
yeah. So came from a family, the countryside, grew up on a farm. Uh, my family always been, family oriented and just country loving fun, man.
Absolutely, man. So, what was your first introduction to the system?
This right when I was 21, but to turn 22.
Okay, and how
Yeah.
did that go? So, how did you end up getting yourself in that situation?
Well, being that my father died when I was 6 years old, it did a big, impacted me negatively because I couldn't accept the fact that he was gone,
Okay,
especially when you're growing up. So it led to me, going to the streets, gang banging, going forth, and did stuff as far as drug dealing. But my main MO was a going enforcer, and
okay,
it led me to, doing almost 8 years in prison. And we all know when you on that type of time or lifestyle, there's only
right.
two ways out. That's prison or the graveyard. So I'm fortunate. I'm still here, and
No,
yeah,
no, absolutely, man. We've definitely been through a whole lot, but it was something about that prison sentence, man. Like for myself, just being incarcerated, ripping around the streets. I was more of a hustler kind of a dude, right? I wasn't really into the gangs and things of that nature, man. I just wanted to get money, But
yeah,
what comes with that, a lot of other things. And so I ended up doing a little bit over 9 years of federal prison as well. And so it really it was my defining moment.
yeah,
Oftentimes, people got situations that happen in their life where it's like that's that thing that's really gonna get you back on point. And for me, when I was incarcerated, like I got back to the essence of who I was, right? It's like I was able to begin to dream again. Was it like that for you as well?
yeah. I tell people all the time, I was more free in prison than I was in my life in the streets because I had nothing but time to reflect on what I've done. I had time to realize that it was more to me than just violence and chaos. Then
Yeah,
also too, I had more time to talk to God because I had so much stuff going on in the streets. Spiritually, my mindset was blocked. My way of thinking or connecting with the man upstairs. So,
right.
um, being in prison definitely gave me a way of saying, you know what, take this time to get to know yourself, but furthermore, to get to know God.
No, absolutely, man. So how did you spend your time incarcerated? 8 years, that's a long time, man.
Yeah, almost 8 years, 7 years and 6 months. With me, working out,
Okay.
um, watching, TV and stuff, with the guys, I had a couple homies in there and just build, man. We'll build about our dreams or what we're gonna do when we get out and stuff. We cook together,
Yeah.
in prison, we have different ways of fixing food that
No,
most people
absolutely.
don't
Yeah.
even imagine. So
Right.
we have little powwows and stuff, man. Then, sometimes we just go in there and walk around the big track, on a pod and
Yeah.
just build, man. And
Yeah.
the thing about it is that when you're doing time, is if you utilize it right, it's not just time being wasted.
Hmm.
We had guys in there that was comedians, so it kept us laughing and our day going because a lot of guys that was crying. People died in your family while you locked up, or people who was married that Jody answered the phone.
Right.
So it was like
Right.
it hurt in some ways, but you had to take that hurt and transform it into something to where it's strength. You got to
Yeah.
find strength in your tribulations, and that's what I did. So I met some of the greatest brothers ever want to meet. People think, oh, you go to prison just as bad guys. Some people just made mistakes, and some people need to stay in prison because of things.
Hey, hey,
But
man.
yeah,
I say that I say the same thing, man. I'm still in contact with like most of my guys, man. They lifelong friends. I don't even call them friends. I call them brothers, man. Just
yeah,
because of that camaraderie. I tell people all the time, if you spend 1 year or 2 years with somebody every day, you're gonna see they walk. You're gonna get to know sides of them that probably people on the streets didn't have the opportunity to get to see because they wasn't around them probably every day, 24/7. And so you get the
yeah.
opportunity to kind of build that kind of a bond. And so it's I tell people that all the time. Like how you were saying, people think that because you're incarcerated, you like this monster or something. But it's just not like that. It's lifelong brotherhood type kind of situations.
Oh, of course, everything is systematic, and understanding. Every walks of life that people come from. So, to be around not just criminals or thugs or gangsters, but you're in there with doctors and lawyers with their degree at Harvard who ran multi-million-dollar Fortune 500 businesses, and then they give
Right.
you all the game. It's like, wow, this is like free college. It ain't
Right.
costing me like thousands of dollars. I got the same intelligence and
Yeah.
brilliance from those people from this format. So again, finding strength in your tribulation. I tell people all the time, and prison was definitely something that if I didn't go to prison, obviously I'll probably be dead. And
Yeah.
furthermore, just like what you have, the testimony, that testimony, man, unlocks so many blessings. And I honestly believe that we had to go through it,
Yeah.
in order to master our purpose.
Right. Absolutely, man. So I always say that it turning your pain into your purpose.
Yep.
And that's absolutely what you did, man. You told me something like in our conversation before that you utilize your size incarcerated in a different way, right? As you and I
Yeah.
both know, sometimes people need protection. You know what I mean? It's just like
Exactly.
you got weak people, you got the weak, you got the strong, right? It's like it can be a jungle in certain situations, right? And
Yes, sir.
so, but I like how you utilize your size opposed to utilizing it as kind of like this big as a threatening kind of a situation. Let's talk about that, like with some of the men and women that no, some of the men, I'm sorry, that were the corporate guys. So how was you able to work out situations with them in return for quote unquote protection?
Well, the thing about it is that some of the guys needed protection, some of the guys didn't need protection, but they assumed because of the
Right.
atmosphere of prison. And
Exactly.
when they used to come to me or I'd be around them, I didn't start talking with them. Nothing, don't threaten them. And I mean, of course, I've never been a bully.
Yeah.
And they would tell me about their experience and what they had and what they're going to have when they get back out, and the college they've been to, the universities and all the accolades. I'm just like, wow, like you are like some kind of big brilliant CEO, all the stuff, like, okay, this is more valuable than money.
Right.
So they used to, when they get into certain situations or whatever, they would come to me and say, hey, I'll give you some money or I'll buy you a commissary. And I said, listen to me. I said, I got money. I don't need your money. What I want is your brain. I want your intelligence. Give
Right.
me what most people dream of having.
Yeah.
I'm ready to build my empire when I'm ready to articulate and be, you know, intellectual and have certain conversations and build.
Yeah.
So they did that. And I was, reading several books, Greek mythology books, books about, how to, what tie to wear to a certain meeting or certain
Yeah.
words, certain handshake, all these things that people don't take notice of on the outside. And when we think about it, we become civilian to things that are that's abnormal. Just like
Hmm.
we say, the military. The military is definitely not a normal place to be. So they look at people, regular 9 to 5s, people who have a traditional way of living as civilians, where it's like
Hmm.
in a prison. You have your civilians and you have the people who's a master of their arts or whatever they're doing, and you learn from that. So I've just, just sitting back, we cook together. I'm asking about this type of word, what this word mean. They telling me how to, network and how
Yeah.
to, parlay in different, atmospheres and Fortune 500 companies. I just absorb it all,
Yeah.
and I've applied so much of that knowledge since coming, being in the
Absolutely.
prison, and it's where it got me. So,
Yeah. So speaking of where it has got you, did you ever imagine? We always hope, right? We always keep ourselves optimistic, right? We have these dreams, aspirations, and things of that nature. But taking yourself back 10 years, right, when you were incarcerated,
huh?
did you imagine where you would be at right now?
Had no idea. I you look at TV and see actors and stuff. You're like, oh, that's Hollywood, that's L.A. or New York. And with me, I had all the attributes, and I think about it as we talk it now. When I was
Yeah.
in the streets, I had to disguise myself as certain characters so I would never get caught in what I was doing. So
Oh,
I was already an actor then. You
right.
know, when I had to study different scenes and different things in the streets, so I know how to apply myself when I put in the work.
Yeah.
That's acting. It was in a
Absolutely.
negative way.
Right.
When people say certain things, I can remember the key points of that. That's acting because that's the things you have to have. When you doing scene study or script analyzation. So
Yeah.
all these things, it was already predestined. And then my grandmother, as a lot of people know, my grandmother is the reason why I became an actor because she
Right.
was the last moment of her life to show me that. And
Yeah.
without my grandmother, I would have been an actor. There would have been no way possible I would even have that thought or that notion.
Yeah.
And for people out there don't know, um, like 7 or 8 months before my release, my grandma came to visit me. She didn't visit me the whole entire time because she didn't want to see me in those conditions.
Right.
But for some reason, her last trip, she wanted to see me. So when my aunt and uncle brought her up there, my aunt came to me and she's like, nephew, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And I said, okay, what's going on? I see grandma. I haven't seen her in my whole bed. She said, your grandma's dying. Your grandmother has dementia. She has 3 brain tumors. She thinks that the
Wow.
prison yard is a military base because my dad was in special forces. And she thinks that you are your dad.
Whoa.
And the doctor say that anything that she thinks, you have to go along with it. If you make her think otherwise, it'll put a strain on her condition. So for 2.5 hours, I became my dad. I remember everything she told me in the past, everything that my family told me, everything that my dad's friends told me. I absorbed it, I acted it out. So when I tell people in my speaking engagements or events, my grandmother gave me my first audition. That's what that means. For
Right.
2.5 hours, I was my dad. And the CEO that was in there, he wasn't crying, but his eyes was real watery. And he said, whatever you do, Charles, whatever you do, you need to be an actor. For you to sacrifice that moment with your grandmother and for her to do that and you performed and basically controlled your emotions, that was
Yeah.
an Oscar moment. And that's what pushed me to be what I am today. So it's never about the money, being popular, or seeing
Hmm.
people, oh, I want to be an actor too. It was simply because she sacrificed her last, uh, days, to come and let me know this is what it is. So
Hmm.
me doing what I'm doing as an actor, is paying homage to that, and also the platform is able to use my testimony to show people there's people like you and I, brother. We already took the bullets. I mean, we took the wounds to
Hmm.
show people you don't have to be locked up to find your purpose. So yeah,
Man, hey, that was a remarkable story, man. I hear stories all the time, and that right there, man, that's worthy of a book. I know that's probably something you got in the makings down the line, but you definitely got a hell of a story with that. Now, as you and I both know, those visits can be a regular visit can be kind of draining, right? Because
yeah,
it's really our way to escape from the yard, right? We get in the visit and we can kind of like have some sense of normalcy, right? And
yeah,
even well, at least for myself, even before I go up there on the visit, you kind of have like a little butterfly in your stomach, right? Because well, for me, right? Because sometimes it may have been a while before you had, since you had seen your family and things of that nature. So on this one particular visit, man, as I said before, visits are already draining. Like,
yeah.
what was it like going back to the dorm or to
Oh
the
man,
or to the pod? And it's like, man, I just didn't. I was in full. full mode. You know what I'm saying? And all the emotions that came out of that.
Well, the first thing is that I want people to understand a lot of the cellmates was there, and also other prisoners. You know what I mean? So people was talking about it all over the compound.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So I remember I cried, I vomited, I
Wow.
was I was sick because I embodied so much for that. Um, you look into the eyes of your grandmother who's dying and playing the guy, your hero, your best friend, your dad who's already dead. That's a load. That's a load. So it was like when I was throwing up and vomiting and everything and crying and I had a sharp pain. It was sort of like me releasing some type of demons, man, that was
Huh.
just trying to take me out. It felt weird. Like it was like, man, like for that moment, I wanted my grandma to acknowledge me as a grandson,
Mm.
and but I knew that it wouldn't have altered to me finding what I was really supposed to be doing now.
Yeah.
So when my grandmother died, obviously while I was in prison, because I was hoping she would make it until I got out, but she
Mm-hmm.
didn't. Um, she's smiling down on me. She's happy that I followed through with it, and it's been a rough road. And I said to myself, as I was watching this, Jimmy Foxx when he was pointing his daughter and shouting his daughter out, who was in the front row
Yeah.
when he won the Oscar for Ray, and then when he acknowledged his grandmother, I said that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
my other motivation. So
Yeah.
I'm just blessed, man. I'm blessed to move forward. Uh, I've been in the game almost 11 years, man.
Yeah.
And doing it full time for about 5. I done won like 11, 12. I believe I think it's either I know it's more than 10. It's like 11 or 12 national awards as an actor. So I'm ready to go for the worldwide, like the Emmys and Oscars, and I'm well on my way, well on my
Yeah.
way. And it's not for me to say, hey, look at me, I'm an Oscar Emmy winner. Well, I feel like when I win, I'm winning for everybody. I'm winning for people that's poor, people who is homeless. I'm winning for the people that's in the ghettos, that's
Mm-hmm.
in the violent streets that we come from. I'm winning for those people who feel like they're not important enough. This is what be for them. It's bigger than me. But
Yeah.
ultimately, giving God the glory. And as long as I do that, I would never lose.
And
I'm gonna
and that's one of the things that I noticed about you, man. I've been following you on Facebook for a while, man, and like you always give glory up to God, and that's a good look, man, because oftentimes, we can get busy in life, man, and maybe not even intentionally, just kind of forget about the plug or run off on the plug, and the plug is God,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And so we can do that at times. So now you're out, right? 7, 8 months later after that Oscar winning performance in the visiting room, right? And so, like, what was those first steps you kind of start to do to kind of bring that dream into fruition of being an actor?
Well, my first year out of prison, I landed a role in a small independent film. Um, and that when once I got on that set and saw the cameras and the lights and the, action, and cut, and it became like systematic in my brain, like, oh my God, I'm loving this. It
Right.
was a matchstick, and that right there lit the on fire, to the platform. And I just did start doing background work. I did background work, little small studio film stuff here and there just to get my foot wet. And
Right.
then I did a couple of things with TV1 and the ID channel. That was my basis at the time for me to kind of build my foundation. But
Yeah.
as everybody know, and it's all out there, Empire is what put me in the mainstream.
Yeah.
And that right there, I mean, like I tell you, I'm not saying that Empire was, if I didn't do Empire, that I wouldn't have progressed in my career. But I can say I wouldn't progress as fast as I have done because people have to understand Empire was the #1 show in the world when I came in. It just went to another level. Um, Beginning of season 3, and then you got season 3 and 4. That was the highest record-breaking episode seasons, in
Mm.
the franchise. So to come in and be a part of that, I had people been hitting me up. I didn't have to audition for nothing from TV1 or independent films, simply because I'm on Empire and it's a business. If you're part of a
Yeah.
primetime show and you're being featured and known from that, it brings that same impact and marketability to a project of anybody else's. So it's I mean, it's empire, man. I
Yeah,
can't
that's all right.
no matter what I do, man. I done tons of stuff, man, and still going. But
Yeah.
empire will always be a highlight. And you know how it is, bro. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it.
No, absolutely not, man. And so it was a unique situation how you kind of got that recurring role. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want people to understand about how bad if you want something, what you do to get it. I drove to Chicago from VA 7 times in 1 month, a 14-hour drive, which means going and coming is a 28-hour drive turnaround.
Mm.
Almost 2,000 miles. It's like 1,900 or something. Yeah, I did it 7 times out of my pocket. From tolls and hotels and food and gas. So, and as an extra, you only get paid like $80 for 8 hours. So I
Wow.
wasn't seeing nothing. Um, and then the eighth time they called me, they had overbooked too many extras. But because they knew I drove so far, they sent me into another set. And I went to a set where Exhibit. That's when he was really. That's when he went from a guest star to a season regular. He just got promoted, upgraded, and there was a place where they were celebrating one of his homies' memorials in the Sterling line. So
Mm-hmm.
when I got there, whatever, I seen Exhibit, I saw the directors or whatever, they placed me, in the crowd. And then another director came, the main director came and looked at me, kept going, bro, just give me the eye and talking to some of his, people on set. And he asked me, he says, man, where you from? And I told him how far I drove and told him, about my, how been times I've been on set. And then he said, man, like you can hurt somebody, man. Like you can, you can play one of the goons up there and all that stuff. I was like, well, I was a goon in the force in real life. He says, what? So they opened the door for me to tell my testimony. I told my
Yeah.
testimony, and he was like, this is like awesome, like authentic. So one of the guys up there, I never forget, he had dreadlocks, he had a crazy looking eye. He told me to get off the stage. He put me up there, did a camera test, and for that on that day, which was Exhibit's birthday, shout out to Exhibit. That's my bro. Um, we were on set for 16 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it was the best 16 hours of my life because those 7 times previously on Empire, I never got seen. If you saw me, it was a blur. You didn't know it was me, which was good because then I came able to get upgraded to be this. So I left there, and 2 weeks later, in that same week, because I was doing House of Cards too at the time, I got my SAG eligibility letter to become SAG, and like a couple of days, maybe two, I believe, 2 days after that, Empire hit me up and said, "We want to bring you as a featured reoccurring for the
Mm.
entirety of Shine's character as one of his main goons." And then
Wow.
once I did that, going towards the third season, they said, "You know what? You're Shine's front man." So they said, "We're gonna always have goons and people around, but you as
Mm-hmm.
right hand man." So you can literally go to Google and just put in Empire Shine Goon or Goons, S without an S, and everything come about me with him. So it's gratitude that I pay homage to my Empire family. Wild turns
Mm-hmm.
to will be an Empire. The three other people shouting them out as well: Steve D'Amato, Senna Henry, and Carlito Rodriguez. Those are the people that really blessed my life. And people ask me, "Do you miss me on that set?" It was the best set that I was on.
Yeah.
The mainstream. I'm always gonna, I'm always gonna miss, my Empire family. And Taraji's getting her spit off. So, when people ask me, "Oh, you gonna be on that?" I don't know. But I'm right now. I'm supporting Taraji. She's a great sis, a great mentor, and as well as learning from Terrence and Exhibit. So life is good, man.
Yeah. So what do you tell people that may be apprehensive about telling that story, right? Because I had a situation like that where I had just come home and I had met who's my mentor now, and I was kind of giving him my backstory, but I was a little bit hesitant. I think I was home for maybe 3 months, so I'm super fresh out, and so I was still trying to get get comfortable with telling people my experience. And so he kind of pulled me to the side. He's like, man, you know what? You got to own that. You got to own that situation, And so, and that's what you did. Although you had to look of being a goon and things of that nature, right? You'll fit in this role, but I think ultimately it was your backstory, your real backstory,
Oh yeah,
that kind of gave that credence to that role, And
they
so I just
did.
want, yeah. So what would you say to people that may be apprehensive or may be ashamed about what they've been through, and it could potentially kind of take them to another level?
Well, we have to understand this. When we did what we did in the streets, we wasn't ashamed. So why would you be ashamed of the redemption part?
Mm,
A story is not made to be, put in a vault. A story is made to share with the world.
right.
Because somebody out there is who's about to be in the same situation or is
Mm-hmm.
going in that situation cannot, revive from that. They might end up getting killed in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that there's a way, there's a chance that hope is more than hope. Hope is an introduction to a change.
Mm,
Um, it's what give us our credence as it when is it says in the Bible. I ain't preaching, but I'm a man of God and I love God. But it says that many called, but few was chosen. And while
absolutely.
we are the chosen ones, so you can't fear. And we didn't fear people in the streets in our jurisdiction of our criminal life, and we did all these things or whatever. Why should we be afraid now? This is the time we need that same energy we had in the streets, that same energy we had, being, if you're a thug or gangster or hustler, going for whatever your MO was in the streets. Now you have a chance to do it in a positive way. Have that same energy.
Right.
Share the world. You know what I mean? You ain't got to sell drugs anymore, shoot nobody. Now you can give away free knowledge. You can show people instead of doing drive-bys on your own people, that you do drive-bys spiritually to the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And just man, live life. Live life. Whatever you're passionate about, go for it. Make sure that the people around you are they are built in a form of knowing that they're gonna, be at your best interest. You know what I mean? They're gonna motivate you, they're gonna elevate you. If you got anybody in your team or around you that you have to second guess, get rid of them. It's all about you. It's all about your environment, your structure, and people who want to see you win and push you. And I had a couple of people I had to get rid of, but I have a team now that that's very effective. I have a team now that continue to push me and to I don't want to say market my testimony, of course, market my brand as an actor, but my testimony is nothing to be marketed. My
Mm-hmm.
testimony is just truth. It's like your truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that truth is important, so important that we have to share it. We have to share it. So,
Absolutely. So for any other men and women out there that want to be an actor, right? You mentioned the SAG card. You schooled me on what that was. It's a very, very important, I guess, declaration, if you will. So if you can kind of break that down and explain to the audience what a SAG card is, and how that's very, very valuable.
well, if you're trying to be a successful and professional actress, you got to have. There's no way around it. I mean, as I explained to everybody, none or background is like playing high school, basketball or college basketball. SAG is like playing the NBA. That's your professional card.
Mm,
But just like anything else in the NBA, once you become professional, what are you gonna do with the ball? Are you gonna be benched or are you gonna be the starter? What are you gonna do? So the same thing with acting. SAG is a union. It's a society of elite actors and actors from the bottom of the totem pole in the beginnings of mainstream to the top. It's
mm.
what you need if you're trying to get any major role. Um, Under the eyes of Hollywood, the top pay, all the stuff, you have to be SAG.
Yeah,
If you're trying to get an agent, a legitimate agent, or manager, you have to be SAG, which means
yeah.
Screen Actors Guild. SAG is so big that you can see it happens on the award show, like the Oscars. You see Denzel, he won the SAG award. You see Morgan
Mm-hmm.
Freeman, all of them who won the Lifetime Achievement, Robert De Niro. So it's big. It's the top of the top. That's the top of the top.
Okay, so next in the next couple of weeks, man, you got a big film coming out, man. Charm City Kings, man. Kind of star-studded. You're alone, guys like Meek Mill, produced by Jada and Will Smith. Can you talk about that, man? It's a culture on the East Coast. It's not really that big over here, as far as like the
Yeah.
dirt bikes and motorbikes and stuff like that, but it's huge over in Baltimore and Philly. And I know those guys are really looking forward to that, and it's exposing um, the world to this particular culture in the city. So can you talk about the movie and your role and everything of that nature?
Yeah, so I made a cameo appearance as the Trap House Kingpin. Charles of the Kings is based on the documentary, The 12 O'Clock Boys. Will and Jada, of course, adapted that documentary and they turned into, the movie that's coming out, Charles of the Kings. And it's about, basically three boys in Baltimore. They want to join this gang. They want to feel important. They want to be a part of their culture. The main guy, I want to pronounce his name right. I think his name Jaid or something like that. I don't want to mess his name up.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a boy that played with Taraji in Proud Mary. Excellent actor, and he trying to find his way. He want to be important, and he think just joining the gang or joining the dirt bike gang will make him feel that it's important. Will make him feel like he's somebody. What he doesn't know is that he's not joining a typical gang. It's about dirt bikes. There's a lot of stuff behind that dirt bike gang. Chaos. Drugs, all type of stuff. But
Right.
he's so far deep into it. Basically, what I'm saying, he's losing himself. And his mom is trying to convince him not to do it. But you know what I mean? Meek Mills, who's playing something like a mentor to him, because Meek Mill used to be a part of the original dirt bike gang in Charles of the Kings. So there's a lot of roller coaster moments. There's a lot of wisdom to kids who want to join gangs or be important or feel part of a culture, but sometimes it can be ultimately for the wrong reason. So it's gonna be man phenomenal, man. It's like the most anticipated movie coming to HBO Max. And as I was telling them about it, we supposed to have been in the movie theaters, but of course, COVID-19. So the
Right.
date kept changing. So, to find a home at HBO is a legendary, network. Is very yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, man. Great, man. Hey, what else is upcoming for you, man? I know you got a lot of big projects coming, and I know you stay working, man, in school full time. So
Yeah.
what can we expect?
I mean, we the developer wife. I play a featured bodyguard on there. It's going to be on UMC, and
Okay.
then the beginning of next year it'll be on BET. The previous movie I did, Volkov, by Listen Productions, which I just became one of the new producers of that company. It's a multi-award-winning company with my brother George Dibble, who I love very much. Like family, we bought the start back shooting again the sequel called Volkov Origin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, it's so much to get coming my way. The Disciples by my family, 3HP, boss man Troy Edwards. I'm going to play a kingpin named Ja. That's going to be interesting, but it's not your typical gangster movie. It's a redemption factor from
Mm-hmm.
the streets to the kingdom, as the motto says on the promo. And also working in with another production company called Never Too Young Productions by a good friend of mine, my sister in Christ Marie, Donna, April, Jackie, Kevin, Kenneth. It's a lot of people to name, but they
Yeah.
know who they are. Shout out to them, as family. Got a lot of bigger things coming from that. So I'm just blessed. I'm blessed to be a part of so many things. I feel like that as long as God give me enough strength and air in my body to do those things, I'm always fortunate and with great gratitude, sincerity to do those things, and not so much for popularity, but to show people that there's no limit to what God can do for you. And if you accept your calling, your purpose, then you're always going to win.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you mentioned producer. I didn't let
Yeah.
that get past me. And so what's pretty much the role of the producer?
I've learned a producer does everything. It's not a one man thing,
Mm-hmm.
or one attribute. Producers can do anything from help with the scheduling. They can help with the casting, help make sure that people are checked in, make sure that the lead, the stars or whatever, they have everything that's proper for them as far as their food or drinks or dealing with wardrobe. Also help with the marketing, branding, the overall set. make sure that they close the gaps in between the bridges.
Okay.
Also with the camera stuff, they do stuff behind the camera to make, to help assist to make sure that the director have full focus. So it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. Everything that's I tell people that if you want to be a great actor, and you have to understand the business, learn both sides of the camera. And I feel as though that if I'm on the other side of the camera, I got to do my job better as an actor because I already know what they're looking for. So yeah.
I like that, man. So last question, man. Your ideal role, what does that look like?
I'll say anything that's inspirational. I don't do some stuff like as far as faith based. Something that's totally away from me being the tough guy, gangster guy, whatever. The more sensitive side. I think as an actor, no matter how big you are or how dominant or masculine you are, the sensitivity of that shows a greater depth and range in what you can do as far as your work and your craft. So anything along that lines, yeah.
Man, great, man. Thank you, bro. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been super inspiring. Where can the audience find you? I know you're on Facebook everywhere, but you got a Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah. The first thing I tell people is Google my name, Charles D. Clark. A lot of stuff that I'm attached to is on that.
Okay.
So it's my IMDb. My Instagram is real easy. It's Charles D. Clark 1980. And my Twitter is C Clark Inspired, CCLARKINSPIRE, and the number 7. And and then of course on Facebook. But there's don't forget the D. It's Charles D. Clark because that's my name registered on the SAG. Anybody else, you might see a capital or a school teacher or whatever.
All right. Okay, man. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another dope episode of Escaping the Odds. My main man, Charles D. Clark. And you can find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We got the YouTube channel going, Facebook, of course, Instagram, Escaping the Odds Podcast. Also, escapingtheodds.com, where you can be able to review not only just this particular interview, but 32 other videos as well. And so let's keep it rolling, man. We're here to inspire, unlocking freedom. Continue to like, subscribe, share, and continue to support us as well. Opportunities over penitentiaries. That's what we like to say here. So once again, bro, I thank you, man, for coming through, man, and inspiring and letting the world know and helping change the narrative of what the formerly incarcerated looks like. And so we'll be in touch, bro. Thanks again, bro. Appreciate you.
You too. Salute.